Breaking Dawn Audiobook. Read by Megan King. Chapter 17, Book 2. What do I look like? The Wizard of Oz? You need a brain? You need a heart? Go ahead. Take mine. Take everything I have. I sort of had a plan as I ran to the Cullens' garage. The second part of it was totaling the Godstepper's car on my way back. So I was at a loss when I mashed the button on the keyless remote, and it wasn't his Volvo that beeped and flashed its lights for me. It was another car. A standout even in the long line of vehicles that were mostly all drool-worthy in their own ways. Did he actually mean to give me the key to an Aston Martin Vanquish, or was that an accident? I didn't pause to think about it, or if this would change the second part of my plan. I just threw myself into the silky leather seat and cranked the engine while my knees were still crunched up under the steering wheel. The sound of the motor's purr might have made me moan another day, but right now it was all I could do to concentrate enough to put it in drive. I found the seat release and shoved myself back as my foot ran the pedal down. The car felt almost airborne as it leaped forward. It only took seconds to race through the tight, winding drive. The car responded to me like my thoughts were steering rather than my hands. As I blew out of the green tunnel and out onto the highway, I caught a fleeting glimpse of Leah's grey face peering uneasily through the ferns. For half a second I wondered what she'd think, and then I realised that I didn't care. I turned south, because I had no patience to live for ferries or traffic, or anything else that meant I might have to lift my foot off the pedal. In a sick way, it was my lucky day. If by lucky you meant taking a well-travelled highway at 200 without so much as seeing one cop, even the 30-mile-an-hour speed trap towns, what a letdown. A little chase action might have been nice, not to mention that license plate info would have been the heat down on the leech. Sure, he'd buy his way out of it, but it might have been just a little inconvenient for him. The only sign of surveillance I came across was a hint of dark brown fur flitting across the woods, running a parallel to me for a few miles in the south of Thorpe. Quill, it looked like. Must have seen me too, because he disappeared after a minute without waving an alarm. Again, I wondered what the story would be before I remembered, but I didn't care. I raced around the long U-shaped highway, heading to the biggest city I could find. That was part of my first plan. It seemed to take forever, probably because I stood on the razor blades. It didn't actually take 2 hours before I was driving north into the undefiled sprawl that was part Tacoma and part Seattle. I slowed down then, so I really wasn't trying to kill any innocent bystanders. This was a stupid plan. It wasn't going to work. But as I searched my head for any way to get away from the pain, what Leah said today had popped in there. Part would go away, you know, if you imprinted. You wouldn't have to fight over her anymore. Seemed like maybe getting a choice to taken away from you wasn't the very worst thing in the world. Maybe feeling like this was the very worst thing in the world. But I'd seen all the girls in the push and upon the Macca Res and in Thorpe. I needed a wider hunting range. So how to look for a random soulmate in the crowd? Well, first, I needed a crown. So I tooled around looking for a likely spot. I passed a couple of malls, which probably would have been good places to find girls my age. But I couldn't make myself stop. Did I want to imprint on some girl who hung out in a mall all day? I kept going north, and it got more and more crowded. Eventually I found a big park full of kids and families, and skateboards and bikes and kites and picnics, and the whole bit. I hadn't noticed till now. It was a nice day. Sun and all that. People were out celebrating the blue sky. I parked across 2 handicap spots, just begging for a ticket, and joined the crowd. I walked around for what felt like hours. Long enough to let the sunshine slide from the sky. I stared into the face of every girl who passed anywhere near me, making myself really look, noticing who was pretty and who had blue eyes and who looked good in braces and who had way too much makeup on. I tried to find something interesting about each face so I'd know for sure if I'd really tried. Things like, this one had a really straight nose, that one should pull her hair out of her eyes, this one could do lipstick out if the rest of her face was as perfect as her mouth. Sometimes they stared back. Sometimes they looked scared, like they were thinking, who is this big freak glaring at me? Sometimes I thought they looked kind of interested, but maybe that was just my ego running wild. Either way, nothing. Even when I met the eyes of the girl who was, no contest, the hottest girl in the park and probably in the city, and she stared right back with the speculation that looked like interest, I felt nothing. Just the same desperate drive to find a way out of the pain. As time went on, I started noticing all the wrong things. Bella things. This one's hair was the same colour. That one's eyes were sort of shaped the same. This one's cheekbones cut across her face in the same way. That had the same crease between her eyes. which made me wonder what she was worrying about. That was when I gave up, because it was beyond stupid to think that I picked exactly the right place and time, and I was simply going to walk into my soul just because I was so desperate to. I wouldn't make sense to find her here anyway. But Sam was right. The best place to find my genetic match would be in the bush, and clearly no one there fit the bill. Billy was right, then who knew? What made for a stronger wolf? I wandered back to the car and slumped against the hood and played with the keys. Maybe I was what Leah thought she was, some kind of dead end that shouldn't be passed on to another generation. Maybe it was just that my life was a big cruel joke and there was no escape from the punchline. Hey, you okay? Hello, you there, with the stolen car? It took me to realise that the voice was talking to me, and then another second I tried to raise my head. A familiar looking girl was staring at me, her expression kind of anxious. I knew I recognised her face. I'd already catalogued this one. Light red gold hair, fair skin, a few gold coloured freckles sprinkled across her cheek and nose, and eyes the colour of cinnamon. If you're feeling that remorseful over boosting the car, she said, smiling to drink a hot part in her chin, you could always trade himself in. It's borrowed, not stolen, I snapped. My voice sounded horrible, like I'd be crying or something. Embarrassing. Sure, that'll hold up in court. I glowered. You need something? Not really. I was kidding about the car, you know. It's just that you look really upset about something. Oh hey, I'm Lizzie. She held out her hand. I looked at it until she let it fall. Anyway, she said awkwardly, I was just wondering if I could help. Seemed like you were looking for someone before. She gestured toward the park and shrugged. Yeah. She waited. I sighed. I don't need any help. She's not here. Oh, sorry. Me too, I muttered. I looked at the girl again. Lizzie. She was pretty. Nice enough to have a grouchy stranger who must seem nuts. Why couldn't she be the one? Why should everything have to be so freaking complicated? Nice girl, pretty and sort of funny. Why not? This is a beautiful car, she said. It's really a shame they're not making them anymore. I mean, the vintage body styling is gorgeous too. Though she's something about the Vanquish. Nice girl who knew cars. Wow. I stared at her face harder, wishing I knew how to make it work. Come on, Jake. Imprint already. How's it drive? She asked. Like you wouldn't believe, I told her. She grinned for her one dimpled smile, clearly pleased how I'd dragged a halfway civil response out of me, and I gave her a reluctant smile back. But her smile did nothing but the sharp pressing wave that raked up and down my body. No matter how much I wanted it to, my life was not going to come together like that. I wasn't in that healthy place where Leah was headed. I wasn't going to fall in love with a normal person. Not when I was bleeding over someone else. Maybe, if it was 10 years from now and Bella's heart was long dead and I'd pulled myself through the whole grieving process and come out in one piece again, maybe I could have offered Lizzie a ride in the fast car and talked to mates and models to get something to know about her and see if I liked her as a person. That wasn't going to happen now. Magic sure wasn't going to save me. I was going to have to just take the shots like a man. Suck it up. Lizzie waited, maybe hoping I was going to offer her that ride. Or maybe not.